Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to another Christmas Essential Light craft to share with you today. Me and my flip-flop Santa and my cheesy twinkling lights are bringing you some Christmas or winter inspiration this summer. I have some snowmen. I can't forget about those cute little snowmen that I do. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started and let me share what I have prepared for you today. All right, so for the snowman, I'm using this color of chalk paint. It's Plaster by Waverly, and that is a Walmart brand. And so then I'm just freehanding, just kind of drawing out a circle. Now, someone could get, like a jar or a cup or something like that to, draw out a circle with a pen or something like that to give you the snowman circle shape. So then I will also use that same plaster chalk paint and go around the edges just to give it a border. To make the eyes for the snowman, I'm just starting out with my black Sharpie marker, and then I just draw them out. I draw two ovals at the top. I like the eyes where they're more touching at the top, but there are different ways to make eyes. So then I use my round brush and some black paint just to fill them in and get the look that I want. Then to make my cheeks, what I do is I use some coral color paint, and that paint is by Ceramcoat. And then I use my stencil brush. I like to choose the one that's a little bit more wispy, and that just kind of gives me the, it's not solid. That's the kind of the look that I'm going for. And so then I start out a little light, and then I go as heavy as I want it to. Then I will take my liner brush and just make some eyelashes as well as some eyebrows. Now, I get questions a lot about a little liner brush like this to make little wispies like this. And what I would recommend, this brush has been with me for a long time. It is old. It has lost a lot of the bristles. And so that's what I would recommend, finding a liner brush and maybe remove some of the bristles so that you just get a few strands in the actual liner brush. So that if you want to make little whimsical features like this for your characters, then that kind of is what I would recommend. Okay, then now I'm taking a flat paintbrush and just going around the outside of the pocket just to give it a black stripe. And then I'll add some shading and all that stuff just to, give it some of the country touches that I like. Okay, I'm using this color of orange. It is Canyon Orange and a round paintbrush, and that is what I'm going to use to start my snowman nose. So I like to start on the largest part and just kind of go down and just kind of keep going and just getting smaller and smaller as I go along, just to give the snowman his carrot nose. I have also used puffy paint in the past that you can get in the craft store, but for this particular snowman, I'm just using my brush and some Canyon Orange paint. Then I'm using my little detail liner brush just to add some excess on the snowman, just to give him this whimsical look. You could also, I have done little smiles, just with little funny, mischievous grins. It's so fun just to create different character faces with just paint and a brush. Now I'm going to add some highlighting to the snowman nose, and I'm just using a flat paintbrush and some black paint just to go around the carrot nose just to give it some definition. Then to do some shading around the white of the snowman, I'm just using my milk chocolate paint by Americana and my flat paintbrush and just going around and giving it some shading. And as you can see on that left side of his face, I got a little heavy, so I'm going to show you next how I fix that. So what I do is I got a little heavy on there. I could either take a baby wipe and try to get some of that off, but I chose to just get that plaster chalk paint and just go, add a little bit of paint to that so that it wasn't so heavy in that area. So then I continue to go around the pocket and add some brown shading because I love all these little country touches. All right, so then also for more whimsical touches, I just take another liner brush and just add a white stripe to the black of each of, around the stripes, because I just really feel that just the beauty is in the details, guys. I say that all of the time, that beauty is in the details. details. And so then it was at this point that I remembered, oh yeah, you forgot to shade around the where the blue jean and the white border meet. So that's what I'm doing now. And then I'll just continue with my little detailing brush just to add some more features, just to bring out the nose, as well as do some doodling around the snowman face and around the pocket, just to add a little bit more dimension. As I say all of the time, friends, the beauty is in the details. And so, I like to use an ultra fine Sharpie marker as well as a fine Sharpie marker, which I'm using my ultra fine Sharpie marker right now. I know it doesn't show up too good on camera, but that's what I'm using. So my little hand painted projects pop. So then now I'm going to add some splattering. I do black first, and then I go back and add white to it. And so for whatever reason, I did not get the black on there, but I did. I added black first, and then I go back and add white. Okay, so then now to kick it up a notch, I'm using some white puffy paint, and this is just something that you can get in the craft store anywhere the fabric paint is sold. You can also get it on Amazon, but it's pretty easy to find. And so I'm just going around and just giving some squiggles around it. Now I let that dry overnight because puffy paint does take a little bit to dry. I pulled out some of my homespun fabric to create a hanger for my pockets, and I can find homespun fabric at Hobby Lobby. Usually Walmart and JubileeFabric.com has lots of fun designs. All right, so then I just cut off, about an inch or a little less than an inch strip, and then I The embellishments are the fun part. I have some of these rusty snowflakes that I picked up from Hobby Lobby in the My Little Christmas miniature ornament section. And what I'm doing is just tying one of them a little bit, so one hangs a little bit longer than the other. Then I'm taking some pine just greenery and just going to just kind of attach all of that together like that. I took another piece of that homespun fabric just to make like a small bow, and I'm just kind of maneuvering it so that it kind of lays nicely and just kind of position everything together, and that just looks so cute. And I just use my pinking shears to just trim that off, because sometimes the ripping it that way, it ends up being a little bit more frustrating. Okay. These just make such cute little gifts. You could just change out, the characters to match your style and design. Now, I am a gift card fan, and so this is perfect for a little gift card or a small little gift, a little trinket, that kind of thing. And then they can use it for years to come as an ornament or a doorknob hanger, or just to hang on a hook or something like that. Making this little snowman shelf sitter using one of my leftover pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. Now, this was from the fall season, and of course they have those pesky little stickers on there, and just using my little heat tool and just peeling off the sticker. I'm also using one of the socks from the Dollar Tree. I had bought those in the fall season as well, and just pulled it out so I could use it for his little hat. So I want to use the crackle paint technique on this little snowman shelf sitter as well. So I'm just painting it black. I let that dry. Then I put a layer of the crackle medium on there and let that completely dry, about 15-20 minutes. Then I go back over it with some plaster chalk paint, and it literally cracks before your eyes. And so one thing that I did notice, like where that sticker was on the back of the little wooden pumpkin, I guess where the little adhesive is, the crackle and the paint did not stick very well to that. So you will see that as I'm working with my little snowman. I want to give my little snowman some cheeks. I'm just using some coral colored paint and a stencil brush and just stippling on some cheeks just to give him a cute little face. I just kind of dab it on just to get the look that I want. Then I'm going to get a liner brush and some orange paint and just draw on a nose where it just looks so cute. Milk chocolate brown paint, and I like to shade my projects, so I'm just using a flat paintbrush and dip half of my brush in water, the other half in paint, and then I blend it on a paper towel. Then I go around my projects to give it just some shading and just give it some definition. I'll just continue to bring this little snowman shelf sitter to life by adding some doodles around the outside of the little nose and just the outer part of the wood part. And then I'll also give him a little smile, and this is just something that I like to do for my projects. It just really depends on what your little personal preference is, but I think that it just really gives it all. It doesn't have to be perfect to be very cute. Anyway, before I do the eyes, I'm going to put the sock on there so that I don't get my eyes too high, so that the brim of my sock, which is his hat, would be covering them up. I use some stuffing to add some, fullness to my hat. And then I just glue that down. Once I know the placement, I like to put my socks on first, like I said, so that I can get my eyes placed the way that I want, that they're not too high, too low, that kind of thing. And so I will use a black Sharpie marker and just draw out the eyes the way that I want them. And I like my eyes a little slanted. If you don't want to do this, you can use the end of a paintbrush or a marker or a dowel, something to give you two dots. But I use the marker first, and then I go back in and I fill it in with black paint with my paintbrush. Now, this is just a personal preference, but you can do eyes a lot of different ways. And I just use then I just use my liner brush for some commas in the eyes, and then also my ultrafine Sharpie marker to give some eyelashes. Now I'm just taking some wire and some rusty jingle bells that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just twisting that on the end of the hat so that it could make a little jingle. This is just kind of how I like to make my little snowman, just all cute and just festive. To get the hat to stay where I want it, I will figure out where I want it to bend, and then I will hot glue that so that it stays. For more pizzazz and festiveness, I just have some greenery and some berries, and I just cut off a couple of sprigs of greenery and just kind of trying to figure out where I can get the greenery to stick, as well as my berries. Sometimes I tuck it in the brim of the hat, sometimes I hot glue it, to the hat, and just to I'm cutting off the toe of that sock so that it kind of lays a little bit freer where it's not closed. Just depending on the sock will depend on what I kind of do with it. Sometimes I use my pinking shears and I'll make like the, strips. It just really depends on the sock. Anyway, just a cute little snowman shelf sitter. If you don't have any of those leftover pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, you can do this with a board or something else. Just let your imagination go wild and create you a cute little snowman shelf sitter just like this one. Okay, guys, I love decorating and creating fun things out of gift boxes. And so in this project, I'm going to show you real quick how I created this snowman scene using the bottom of a gift box. Yes, you can do that. So what I started with is a 14 by 16 inch canvas. And what I did is I painted it all the way around with midnight blue, gave it a couple of coats of that. And then what I'm doing is turning it over and making it kind of like a reverse canvas project. Now, this is a project that I did and I shared it here on my YouTube channel. I will have a link to the original video if you would like to hear every single step of what I'm doing. But for the purposes of this video is I am constantly getting new viewers, new followers, new subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And you all have not seen all of my videos. I have over 737 videos now here on my YouTube channel, and I'm just a little bitty fish in the sea of YouTube algorithm. So welcome. So I'm just going to just briefly just kind of share with you, I created a snowman scene and I used the bottom of a gift box. So I'm just going to kind of set this to music. Again, the link to the original video, if you would like to see a slower step-by-step, will be in the description box, but I wanted to share my snowman as part of this collection for my Christmas in July series that I was doing in the summer of 2023. So I decided to add sticks all the way around the frame just to finish it off, because at first I thought I was not, but then once I started laying them out and saw how, or I saw that I was going to have gaps, I decided to cover the whole frame. On the live, I had forgot to mention that this tree is from Hobby Lobby, and what I did is I just smashed the back, like I didn't fluff out the back. And so sometimes what I like to do is kind of to give it a little bit more defined. I'll have to cut off a little bit more of that right there. And so at first I was just going to not put it where the snowman went, but then I decided, yeah, go ahead, because the snowman wasn't covering the whole frame, and since it was exposed a bit, I didn't want that to be exposed. So then I have some of these tumbling tower blocks that I got from Five Below, and they're the little bit larger than the ones from the Dollar Tree, and so those really help with dimension, and they kind of are the same size as my canvas, my reverse canvas. Just using my serrated knife that I have in my craft room that I use for things like this. Now, it'll make more sense why I'm doing this, because I want to stick some things in there. So I picked up this branch from Michael's. Just kind of going up underneath there. Just want to make sure there's nothing else that I want to stick in there before I glue my little buddy down. I'm just taking some real blush that I got from the makeup section over at Dollar Tree, just using my fingers just to give it just some cheek, just the color of the cheeks. And so then also I take that, just my little sponge from the Distress ink, and just go around the eyes a little bit just to give it a little dimension. I just put a little white swoosh in his mouth just to give it some character. Then I will glue down the snowflakes. Now these snowflakes came from Hobby Lobby, and I just put 3 of them on there just like that. All right, so to decorate the tree, I just have some of this blue homespun. I've had homespun like this for a very long time, but I've seen it at Hobby Lobby. And as I mentioned in the past, you can get homespun at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, and JubileeFabric.com is another place that I recommend to get cute homespun. So what I'm going to do is just tie just little knots of homespun around the twigs. Usually I make the little knots and I glue them on, but since I have lights on here, I don't want to take the chance of hot gluing and then shorting out the lights. I also had some of this blue ticking fabric on hand. Just cut a piece of that off and just kind of just tack that, or just kind of push that up underneath there just to hide the base of my tree. And then since I have that battery pack underneath there, I didn't glue that fabric down because I want to be able to get my fingers in there and turn the lights on and off. Okay, so then now I'm going to make a sign, and I'm just kind of sticking with the gift box just to kind of share ideas for friends that, maybe new to crafting, or maybe looking for some inspiration to kind of use some of the things that you have on hand or that you can get your hands on. Okay, so I just tore off like a square of that. And so then I just took a skinny stick, and I was like, what am I going to write? So I end up writing, "Let it snow." And I just did my little, happy dots and my distressing and all of that good stuff. So I pulled out my caulk from the Dollar Tree to add some snow to like the snowflakes and then the top of his nose as well as the sign, and then I'll put little dots of it on the tree branches just to give it a snowy effect. Then to kick it up a notch, I pull out my Martha Stewart fine glitter, and while that caulk is dry, I am just sprinkling the glitter on there, and I really liked that look. So then I wanted to glitter up the whole snowman and the snowflakes, so I pulled out my spray adhesive, just sprayed that the snowman and the snowflakes, and just sprinkled on a little bit more glitter. Now I know a lot of friends do cringe at glitter, but I do not mind it, and I love all the glittery effects. me share the supplies that I'm using. I'm gonna design my wreath on this is a silver 14-inch wire form that I get from the Dollar Tree. This is the sign that I'm going to use that says "Let It Snow," and it has some faux like shiplap, and it has some cute little snowflakes on it. And Dollar Tree did offer these the last few years. I'm not quite sure this year, but this is the sign I'm using. And then this is the mesh that I'm using now. I shared my after Christmas find, these from Walmart that I got half off. It was 2 in a pack. This is like a bluish silver, this right here, and then this is like white and it has silver running through it. And so I'm using these two. Also, I'm going to use some of this. Now, this was offered at Hobby Lobby in their Christmas section, and it's white and it has some snowball, I call it snowball mesh running through it. I'm also going to be using some white pipe cleaners to put all of my mesh on my wreath. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have my two 10-inch mesh here, and what I'm going to do is roll them out together because it just kind of helps me when I'm making my wreaths. Now, I'm starting at the 10-inch, kind of the 10-inch mark, and I'm going to roll them out to about probably between 13 and 14 inches because this is Walmart mesh where it's a little bit thinner. And so I usually make my cruffles, which how I put my, roll it together, the design that I do. But since this is a little bit thinner, I'm going to go to the 24 mark. So that is going to give me 2 pieces of 14-inch that I'm going to put together. And so I'll cut both of these rolls at 14 inches, and I got about 12 out of the first set. I got about 12 bundles out of it. So how I make my cruffles is, let me move my little clamps out of the way so you can see. I get these little clamps I bought these at Dollar Tree. Both of these were in the laundry section. This was in the Crafter Square section, and I don't know, they just help me with my wreath making. Anyway, so I'm going to make a cruffle, and so how I do that is I just take one end and I bend it over. I'm bend it over 3 times, and then I'm going to clamp it with one of these pink clips, turn it around. I bend this over like the edge of it, roll it 3 times, and then I gather it in the middle, and then I go on the top, like where it looks like, I'll call it a taco, where I have 2 rolls like that, and then I put that to the side. So then I do the same thing for the other one. And, some wreath makers like put something there to kind of help themselves hold it. But it is what it is. So I bend the ends over, and then I flip it 2-3 times. And then I just take my clamp it, gonna turn it around. Do the same thing on this side, bend the edge over, then roll it once, twice, 3 times. Then I gather it in the middle to make my taco. So then I have these 2 like this. And so then what I use these for is, this is just what helps me. I take those clamps out and I make sure that my folds are on top, and I make an X. I just hold those together like that. And then now that's ready for my third, my snowball mesh, which I haven't cut yet. I'll do that next. But since these first 2 came out, I did these first, and I was going to just use this. But then I decided, no, I'm going to put some more of the snowball mesh in it. So I'm going to cut those next. I'm going to use this snowball mesh. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to cut these. Actually, I'm going to cut these at 12 inches since it's a little bit nicer mesh, and also it's a little better quality. So I started on the 10, so I'm going to go to the 22. Just use my rotary cutter. And usually I cut a whole bunch at one time, but for video purposes, I'm just kind of sharing my process. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bend over the edge, and then I'm going to roll just 2 times since this is a 12-inch mesh. I cut it at 12 inches. So I'm going to bend over, then I'm going to roll it 2 times, then I gather it in the middle to make my taco. And as you can see, this is a little bit better mesh. And anyway, so then I just clamp it like that. So then now I have my bigger one, or, you know, with the other 2. And so I'm going to start putting on my mesh, and once I don't know if I'm going to go on the top or if I'm going to go on the bottom, but I'll determine that once I start putting it on with my pipe cleaners. Okay, I have my form here, and I usually just start on a bar on the inner ring, and I'm going to take one of my pipe cleaners and just go through the first 2 bars, and I just kind of hold it like that. And then now I just have my silver mesh and my white mesh from Walmart. Now I'm taking one of these from Hobby Lobby, and I decided I'm going to put that underneath it so it kind of looks like that. And I offset it just a tad, kind of like X, just to offset them. And so then I'm just hold it down. Now, I know some wreath makers put their pipe cleaners on first. I don't do it like that. So, you know, this is just the way I do it. So I kind of twist it 2 times just to get it to hold. And so then I will continue to do, let me do another bundle. So I have my silvery, my blue silvery mesh and my white mesh. And then I have this one from Hobby Lobby. This one is from Walmart. This one from Hobby Lobby. I put it underneath because I just want that I want a hint of that snowball mesh, a hint of it, meaning I want it just peeking out. Anyway, so then now that I went on the inner ring on the first one, then I go on the outer 2 rings on the second one, like that. And so I have them all pulled together, just gather them, and then I just twist it 2 times just to hold it. And then I will continue next, go on the inner ring, then I'll go to the outer ring, then I'll go to the inner ring until I get the fullness of the wreath that I like. Okay, so here is where I'm at the moment, and I have some little space right here that I'm going to put 2 more, and that will be a total of 20 bunches of these 3 10-inch deco mesh. So I'm just going to share here how I just kind of, you know, close it up. So I just go in, you know, like a zigzag pattern, and, you know, just with my pipe cleaners, just on the top ring, and then I go to the bottom ring, and then I go on the top ring. And you know, there are tons and tons and tons of wreath makers, and more are joining this wonderful, you know, community. And so every wreath maker kind of finds their own way of doing things. And so, you know, I pick up different tips and, you know, different things from watching other wreath makers. And so, you know, so then now I'm putting my last one on the outer ring. And so anyway, you know, you just kind of find different shortcuts, different tips that work for you, and just learn different things. And so that you can, you know, figure out what kind of works for you. So anyway, again, this is a 14-inch, you know, wire, and I have 20 of these, like silver blue. They're more dusty blue than silver, white, and snowball mesh. 20 bundles on this wreath. So then now I am going to pick out ribbon, and I will share that. I'll show you how I cut it, dovetail, and put it on my wreath. Okay, these are all of the ribbons that I just pulled out. I have a 2.5 and also some 1.5. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use yet, but all of these either came from Sam's Club, Michael's. I have another place that I order ribbon from. It's called Florist Supply Frenzy. I think this came from Dollar General. So anyway, I will share now which ones I decided to use and how I put them together. Okay, so I have these that I cut at 13 inches, and I like to use these Perfect Tail boards from Burlap Boutique. And anyway, so then now I'm just going to share, I have another 2.5 inch. I'm going to show you, once I get these done, then I'm going to show you how I put my bundle together. So I need 6 of these, so I just roll it around or twist it around, fold it, whatever a person would call it. I don't usually like to do more than 6 because once I, fold it over, sometimes it kind of adds a little length to the ribbon. So I don't want, I usually do like 5 or 6 flips. Some wreath makers do them more, but that is what works for me. And so then I just go and cut my ribbons. Getting hung up here for some reason. There we go. Okay. So then I just take, that's what where the culprit was. It was kind of hung. It's kind of sticking together. Sometimes it happens. All right. So then I just take these 3. I usually do, I just don't like to dovetail a whole bunch at one time. So I fold it in half. I take my fabric scissors and I cut at an angle. So that gives me the V cut or the dovetail. I do that on both sides. So then I have, it like that. So I'll do these the same way, and then I'll move on to the next one. I have these 3 2.5 inch ribbons cut. I've already dovetailed them. And so what I like to do, how I do my bundles, is when I'm doing 3 ribbons together, I decide which one I'm going to want to make an X, and then I put the one that I want to be seen on top. So I make like the X, and then I, put that one in the middle. I use my little tiny attacher. You may have seen me mention this before. I love this thing. It's one of my favorite things for wreath making. Yes, you can use that's one of the questions that I get. You can use a regular staple, but I just like it. Just puts a teeny tiny staple in there. And so then when I gather it like this to put into my wreath, I don't even feel it. So I'm going to go ahead and make all of these, like this, and then I'll move on to my next set, and then I'll share how I put a few of them into my wreath. Okay, so I have my bundles all ready to go. I take the extra time just to get them ready so that when I put them into my wreath, I can just pick them up and go. So since I have 20 bundles and I'm using 3 sets of ribbon, what I did is I have 6 of these bundles with this gray burlap and the buffalo check, and then this white, and then I have 7 of these, and so then that gives me a total of 20 so that I can put them into my wreath. And so like I said, I cut my 2.5 at 13 inches, my 1.5 at 12 inches, and so then when I gather it like this, I just gather it in the middle. Let me do it this way so you can see. And so then I just kind of gather it and put it into my pipe cleaner like that, and then kind of position it so that it lays nicely, just like that. Okay, so I have my wreath here, and I just start somewhere. There is no right or wrong, just depending on how I want to put my ribbons in. So what I do is I just gather them like this. And then I untwist the pipe cleaner, and then I put it in, and then I twist it back. I get a lot of questions as to how I put my ribbons in my pipe cleaner. And so that's how I do it. I untwist it, and then I put it in there, and then I will cut this off, and I will give a dot of hot glue right there just to kind of seal the, just seal the twist. And then I will cut off the excess. And if it's long enough, I will keep it to use for other projects. But if it's too short and I don't want to mess with it, then I just throw those extra pipe cleaners away. So I don't have my hot glue gun heated up right now. So I'm just going to kind of put my ribbon in here just to kind of share. But then I'll go to my next my next bundle. I put my bundles in a zigzag pattern, like bottom ring, top ring, bottom ring, top ring. So then I will decide, I'm going to put this set in now. These are the 3 2.5 inch. So right here is like the next one that's up. So I'm just taking this one, gathering it, putting it in my pipe cleaner just like this. Then I'm going to twist it, I don't know, about 3 or 4 times. And then I cut that off, and then I put a dot of hot glue to seal it, and then I'll bend down any excess that I may, have cut it off. I don't measure my cuts or anything. So then I will fluff my ribbons like that. So then now I'm going to go down here. And I have this one. And so once I get all of my ribbons on, I'll give you like a closer view once I, take my picture so that you can kind of see. That's all I do is I just untwist the ribbons. I put in my ribbon bundle or my ribbon, whatever I'm doing. I do a dot of hot glue, and just depending on the ribbon, I almost always use wired ribbon, and because that just looks the nicest. And so then now I have one ribbon, like I have one bundle here, one here, then one here. So I'll continue to put in my ribbon bundles, back and forth in a zigzag pattern. Now, I did not cut off my pipe cleaners because in a bit, I'm going to show you what I did to curl them and make them part of the decoration for the wreath. Okay, guys, so I have all of my ribbon on my wreath. Now, I know it was a little bit hard to see how I was putting on the ribbon, but basically, I just put the bundles in. I just start in one because, I did a zigzag pattern with the mesh. I go top and then bottom, and I just alternate them. until I get all of the bundles on. Again, I did cut 7 of the 2, and then I did 6 of the 3. And so that gave me a total of 20 because I have 20 bundles on here. Now, I didn't cut off the excess pipe cleaners yet because I may use them for my embellishments. So I just pulled out a couple of things. These I don't know, snowball looking things came on a pick from Hobby Lobby that I had on hand. And then I just pulled out some of these. This looks like a Walmart tag. It was a white snowy branch. I had these on hand as well. And then I have a couple of these little squiggly things that came from Walmart. And then I also have some white bells and some silver bells. I think this is a Dollar General tag, and then this is Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to kind of maybe randomly put some of this embellishment, put some of the embellishments on before I put on my sign. And I used my pipe cleaners that I had secured my ribbon on, tied it on. I used that to my advantage. I just threaded the jingle bells on and just, you know, threaded them through the top of the jingle bell. I did 1 silver and 1 white on all of the gray and white buffalo check ribbon bundles, and so that's how I kind of kept up with it. Now what I'm using is these wire curling tools that a sweet friend and viewer sent to me. Thank you so much, Jan. I love these. It just kind of has a little slit in the top of that tool, and you just slide it through like the pipe cleaner or wire, whatever you want to curl, and you just curl it on itself. And I just love using these. And also what I decided to do is just keep all of these pipe cleaners because I'm using those other curly white pipe cleaners that I got from Walmart, and so I'm just using it for decoration. Okay, guys, what I did is I took off or I separated the small little curly cues, and it does have a wire on it, but I want it to be just a little bit longer. So I'm using my picks machine, and what it does is it puts this little picks on it, and they have, you know, their sharp little blades. You know, I get comments, questions all of the time. People have their own opinions about, you know, the need for a picks machine. This is just something that I invested in many years ago, and I love it. And I got mine at Hobby Lobby. But what it does is it just kind of, you know, gives the little steel picks. And then let me cut this a little bit longer because I want it to get a little bit of this fabric or whatever so that it has something to hold on to. So then it puts a small pick in it, so then I can glue it into my deco mesh wreath in between those flaps, and it holds it a little bit better. All right, so I took my small styrofoam balls from Hobby Lobby apart, and this wire is just a little thin. So to get it a little thicker, what I do is I just kind of bend it like that, and then I can, you know, it just has something a little bit thicker for my steel picks to go into. And so I'm going to do that for all of these, and I've already put them on my branches, and that's what I do, guys, to put my embellishments in my wreath. So that's why I'm sharing that. I use my picks machine and just put these steel picks on the end so that, and then I glue it, secure it into the flaps of the deco mesh, and so then everything stays nice and tight, you know, and last for years to come. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you here. I kind of go in between the deco mesh and just make sure that I just put some glue in there, and then I secure it in between, you know, the deco mesh so that it attaches like that. And that steel picks just gives me the added security that I want for my projects. So then now, since I'm using 3 different things, what I think I'm going to do is just kind of sporadically put these around. It just kind of goes in between that deco mesh, and you know, the glue gives it the added security, as well as so that you know, it doesn't pull out or fall out. So now we're going to put some white branches. And you know what? I think I may go ahead and put on my sign and then put my embellishments around my wreath. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to put on our sign next. Okay, I'm going to take this off because I don't want that. And then I use these cable ties. I will have a link for them if you're interested of where I got them from. Okay, they're already sticky, but I just like the extra security, and so I just have some E6000. I always have to, and yes, my E6000 is black. I didn't realize it until I got home and was going to use it, and it comes out black. But anyway, it holds the same. So I just put a dot of that. Sometimes I just put it on the board itself also because they're sticking together. Okay, and then I do some, you know, hot glue. And then I use pipe cleaners to, you know, string them through or thread them through. And then I'll also glue that. But I'm not going to do that yet because I want this to dry. So I use some of these clamps to hold my zip ties on, or my cable ties, and I let that dry for a little bit, and then I go back and put in my pipe cleaners and then attach it to the frame of my wreath. Okay, so I have my sign on there, and then I just started to put my embellishments in there, just kind of space them out the way that it was, you know, very appealing to the eye.